Your Creative Push, episode 52.
Do what you love, and then the people that love that are the ones that connect with you, and you'll be reaching the right people.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Kelli Klymenko. Kelli embraces all aspects of art. He's an artist, storyteller, photographer, teacher, yogi, husband, father, science aficionado, and free thinker, experiencing life in one of the most inspiring and picturesque places on earth, Sedona, Arizona, where he lives with his wife and children. Now, Kelli, can you tell me a little bit more about, how you started with photography and how you got to the point you are today with your creativity?
Well, as far as photography goes, it's just been part of my life all along. For as long as I remember, I've embraced the arts in many different forms, between painting, drawing, photography, music. The foundation of Kelli Klymenko as a person is most definitely built upon creative endeavors and the arts specifically. Um, when I was younger, I used to draw on anything that I could put my hands on: papers, walls, cereal boxes, newspapers, you name it. Um, if you came across even the smallest surface of empty space, you'd probably find a doodle or a drawing of mine, or a sketch. I was really big on drawing on walls when I was younger. I'm sure, like most kids, but I just
But
kind
your
of took
parents
it just
loved
a
it.
little bit further. Yeah. Between that and melting crayons, on baseboard heaters.
Nice.
But that's who I was, and I was always drawing. My friend John and I, throughout school, we painted, and we even painted murals at the high school we were at, with permission, of course, all over the walls. And that was like one of the first big memories. Um, but I have a really strong foundation in art, and that's where my photography, stems from. It's just a different medium that I used. I've gone from painting, oils, acrylics, watercolor, drawing, sketching, all of that. And photography is just another medium I like to use.
And that's kind of the one that's stuck as far as like what you're doing right now?
I think the reason that it sticks so much right now is the fact that it's so quick.
Mm.
Painting an oil painting could take, days, months, whatever it might be. When I was younger, I was 17, 18. I used to airbrush on the boardwalk, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And I would do portraits in 15 minutes. And if it took longer than 15 minutes, it was just way too long for me to do a portrait. So there's something about speed and sharing. Just like I don't over edit any of my photos because of the fact that it's not real then. It's just too much time has passed. I know some photographers that take months to get a photo out because they have to clean it up and they have to work on it a little bit and take out all the dead leaves and change colors and whatnot. I take a picture, I share it immediately. So I think it's more about speed and how I can be creative and I can share the beauty I see in the world through my eyes in my particular way.
For sure. I think that's something that does absolutely hold people back from being creative is their ideas are kind of bigger and they know how long it's going to take. And it's like, I don't know what that saying is. Like to eat an elephant, you have to just eat one bite at a time or something. I don't know. But it's something like that. It's very hard to not be results oriented where, you have this big project, but you spend 5 hours working on it and you've only done a little bit of it.
Right. And then the other thing is being worried about putting out your best or worst work.
Right.
Recently, I had someone email me saying that one of the pictures I guess I posted, it was a rainy day. It was grainy. It wasn't anything spectacular. And I knew it wasn't spectacular, but it was still beautiful in my eye. And I shared it. And I share everything. And the person emailed me and said that they've known other photographers that have gone through their Facebook accounts and their Instagram accounts, and they've redacted work that they had that wasn't their best work. They would just remove things and only post their best work, only post their most cleaned up, beautiful images. And I don't mind having these beautiful, really clean images, but I think that we should be sharing everything because it makes it more real. I don't like those plastic landscapes where everybody cleans it up so much that you can't even recognize the place when you actually arrive. I like it to be a little bit more real. So I'll post my best work, I'll post my worst work, and take it either way.
That's so annoying to me that they said that because I feel like people should come from a place of like abundance, where there's probably somebody out there where that picture is their favorite or something resonates with them in it. And it shouldn't necessarily be up to the artist or the photographer to be the one that kind of picks what they put out. I don't know.
Right.
I think, like you said, putting everything out there and kind of seeing what sticks or what sticks for certain people. And if not everybody likes it, that's great. That's fine.
I know. I probably count a dozen times. I turned to my wife and I said, "Can you believe that this photo got 1,000 likes on Facebook?"
Right.
I mean, why? I posted
Yeah.
that last minute. I took this shot in like 2 seconds and posted it, and it was not great at all. And it's fine, in my opinion. But I couldn't even believe that people were attracted to it that much.
Right. And I mean, of course, there's something to be said about not putting out just like complete garbage that like, just every single picture you took. I hate that when, not necessarily artists, but people that go on their vacation, they take 7 selfies, like just to get the right smile, the right angle, and they post all 7 of them.
Right.
it's like that's a little ridiculous,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's taking it too far. But yeah, what I'm saying is just I'm not afraid to just share something, and I guess I won't share my worst photo, like the accidental photo of my shoes.
Of
Um,
course.
but I like to at least share what's real, my life as it is, because I think there's good and bad in all of us, in every single thing that we do, and sometimes our art is right on point, and sometimes it's not, and more often it's not. But I think that by sharing everything, then I can experience other people's reactions to those pieces. I can understand how people are appreciating my art, whether it's good or bad, or what pieces of that, what I think is bad, they find to be good. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love the idea of, why you love photography so much, that it's, kind of a quick fix almost. It's one of the things that kind of attract me to photography,
Mm-hmm.
but I've asked previous guests like how much it would cost for like the average person. I'm thinking a lot of people that are, listening to this that might be a painter or a writer that want to get into photography because it really inspires them and they have ideas of things that they would like to take pictures of. Anyway, that's why I kind of started to get into it. My wife's into it, and I bought a Nikon DSLR
Mm-hmm.
and spent the money, but I don't know, you have to bring the camera with you, and then you have to like make sure you don't drop it because it's expensive as hell. And then you have to like get all the settings correct and all that. And that's why I really like what you do with this idea of iPhoneography. So I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about your mindset on kind of how the cell phone camera has evolved and kind of what that allows you to teach people about the cell phone camera.
Well, that's exactly what I hear all the time, is that, oh, there's all this equipment to buy and it's so expensive. And yes, I shoot with a Canon 5D Mark III and a 5D Mark II, and they're expensive cameras. And then the lenses sometimes are even more than the camera. I was just looking at a lens the other day. It costs more than the camera.
Yeah, I bought a lens for my wife for Christmas. That was like her whole Christmas present.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, well, you got to build up to it. I've been
yeah,
collecting lenses and other things and working to, acquire what I need for years. It takes years, but the one thing we have in our pockets is an iPhone, right? Smartphone, iPhone, whatever it might be. I like the iPhone particularly, myself specifically. I had a Samsung Galaxy Note before. It was too big, bulky, and the quality of the photos wasn't the same as an iPhone. So that's why I stuck with iPhoneography specifically. Um, but what I like to say is that during my class, for instance, I'll say that I know this guy that saw these beautiful clouds on the Sedona Red Rocks. We had this fog, this really amazing misty morning, and he was out there and he wanted to take this picture, but he couldn't because he didn't have his camera. So he drove to West Sedona and went back down to the village, over here in Oak Creek, about 5 miles. And by the time he got back, the clouds were gone. But he had an iPhone 6S in his pocket. So I just didn't understand why he didn't use it. He didn't think that the quality was going to be, good enough, to take that photo. But I've been amazed at what I've actually been able to put out there. I sell my iPhone photos on Getty. I use them in print all the time. It's pretty amazing. I've been teaching the iPhoneography workshop for a few years now, Yavapai College at Sedona Arts Center. And I think it all started because I have a pretty amazing following on Facebook now that's growing every single day, where I post my daily photos of the journey known as my life here in Sedona.
mm-hmm. It's beautiful, by
Thank
the way.
you.
You should
Thank you.
definitely follow Kelly if you don't yet.
Thanks. And everybody always wants to know how I do what I do. And a lot, some of it has to do with just having a creative eye. And I like to teach that. I like to teach people to do what I do and copy what I do so that they can, do it for themselves as well. And I think that that's what really drove me into that direction, besides the fact that it's always in our pocket. You don't have to carry the big backpack around with you, all the gear, tripod, and everything else. You can have a mini tripod, maybe. There are accessories that you can go overboard with with
Hmm.
all of phones
Yeah.
now, but it's always on you. And I think that technology is always getting better. Each new iPhone, the camera gets better, the software gets better. So it's just amazing. At some point, we probably won't even need the DSLRs. I don't know. We're not at that point yet, in my opinion, but we're getting really close.
Yeah, we are, and it's kind of scary how quickly and how much smaller they're getting, and all that. But how easy is it for a lay person, like somebody who only whips their phone out to take selfies or pictures in special moments, but kind of wants to maybe just learn how to like think a little bit harder, have that creative eye, and start taking beautiful pictures like you. How much of an effort is it for them to learn how to do that?
Oh, it's not at all. When I do my iPhoneography workshop, it's a 1 day crash course. So we sit down, we hang out for about 5, 6 hours, and I just give them tips and tricks using like rule of thirds. Just thinking about simple composition. Just thinking about the photos that you take and framing them, as a fine art piece, even if it's something that you normally wouldn't do. So I'll tell my students, go photograph that garbage and make it look nice, and
Hmm.
and find a creative way. It's about your vantage point, where you're standing. Everybody takes their pictures, chest high, so let's distinguish ourselves from that and move down closer to the ground, or stand taller, or put it on a stick, whatever it might be. It's really very simple, to change how you view the world and how you share photos too. And a lot of that can just be by following inspiring people. Find photographers that you love, artists that you love, and see how they view things and the things that you like. Uh, Define art that you like. You can mimic that through your photography too, even if it is something as simple as taking a family portrait, but you can get creative with it.
Right, and kind of immerse yourself and follow people like you. And as you were saying before, this journey of your life that is kind of art. What are some things that maybe hold you back and make it difficult for you on a daily basis, like resistance for you?
Resistance. um, so, like, if I go and start thinking back on some of the things that have held me back in the past, uh, I always go back to growing up. Uh, there were a lot of people in my life that assumed that artists or creative people had limited opportunities to build a career from. The talk. It's I was destined to be a starving artist, or I'll never make enough to survive. I won't be successful. But that lack of support, which wasn't good for my ego at the time,
Yeah.
it did spill over into changing my mindset. So, what I think is that the worst that there is when you're underappreciated, or people don't see the quality in what you're doing. And I think that that's where the resistance builds, when people are telling you that you can't do it, or you're not going to be successful, that kind of thing. But for me, that changed my mind to, oh, you're telling me I can't do that? So, well, I'm going to definitely do that now. Um, because I'm me personally, I'm optimistic to a fault. And it's not about like
Hmm.
the glass being half empty or half full. That's not important to me, because I'm the one holding the bottomless pitcher in my hand. So I can do anything as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of whether I have the time or want to try it, and if there's that drive.
I love that idea. What about for the people that kind of don't have that bottomless pitcher, don't feel like they have that bottomless pitcher? What can they do to kind of start filling it up?
Well, it's all a matter of your mindset. If you're one of those people that says I can't, you won't.
Right.
You have to move forward, and you have to always be forward thinking. It's more about, I think, living in the moment. I live by that. and you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what new opportunities will arise. So the best attitude to have is to be present and ready to share. So just start sharing, your creativity, or start exploring different things that you find interesting. Particularly with photography, I'm always telling people to photograph things they would never imagine they would photograph at all. So if you want to be a wedding photographer, start photographing bugs and insects and kids playing on playgrounds and other things. Not that you should be stalking kids on playgrounds, but just start photographing
Yeah, bad
things you
idea.
normally wouldn't photograph. If they're your kids, it's okay. I've got kids.
Yeah, that's cool.
But photograph stuff that you normally wouldn't photograph. Paint things you wouldn't normally paint. You have to go outside of your comfort zone. That's the only way that you'll actually be able to overcome resistance of any kind, is to move outside of your comfort zone. And that's one of the things I try to do all the time. You have to challenge yourself, because that challenge is the driving force of all of us, of humanity in itself.
I love it. Yeah. And it's kind of just like always, it's like shifting your mindset and kind of always be looking for, like you said, that new thing to kind of take a photo of, or that new thing to write about, or whatever. It's just kind of walking through the world with like kind of a different set of eyes almost. Can you take us back and tell us the story of like your worst moment creatively, if you can remember it?
That one's a hard one to answer. We all have bad moments, and
Yeah.
when I try to think back on my worst ones, see, for me, being the optimist, I always come back to that sugar-coated memory of how I turned things around, or everything was so great. So I don't know that maybe there's just one quote unquote bad or worst moment, but more of that general feeling. Uh, for example, when all the hard work you do and create something amazing isn't appreciated, like I was saying before. I think that's the worst collective moment that I have, is when people don't really see the vision, when you're not getting your vision across, or if they don't appreciate it. I think that is a worst moment for me personally.
And how do you kind of get through that and create a new piece of art? Do you think it's like about people not seeing it, or just not appreciating it, or seeing it like at your level, or what is it that you think holds people back from kind of seeing it the way that you see it and appreciating it the way that you think it deserves to be appreciated?
Well, maybe it's the same struggle that I think a lot of artists have, and they're trying to share something or portray something, and it doesn't come across exactly the way they intended. I think then the only way to get over that is to start over, do something different, move in a different direction.
I think that that is a huge point for a lot of people when they do put something out there and it's not received the way that they want it to be received, or like you said, appreciated in the way that it deserves to be appreciated. That's a really, really easy spot to be like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to try anything new. I'm like, I've tried it and I failed.
Absolutely, but you might just be reaching the wrong audience.
Exactly.
When I had like a self-publishing class for a while, I was teaching, and even within the photography classes that I teach, a lot of people, they want to please everyone. They want every single person in the entire world to love their work, buy their work, and think it's amazing. That's not the right approach. Just do what you love, and then the people that love that are the ones that connect with you, and you'll be reaching the right people. So I think that maybe all of it really boils down to, it's not so much that we're not putting out the work in the right way, or they're not seeing it the right way. We're just not reaching the right people.
Mm.
There's billions of people in the world, and there's a way to reach all of them at some point. The internet is wonderful. So it's just a matter of just trying to reach the right people. And if you feel that your own art, or your own photography, or whatever it might be, your own writing is not stellar to begin with, then you just need to revisit it. That's all. I've rewritten, I've redrawn, I've rephotographed things hundreds of times. And I do that because I want to evolve. I want to grow.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that I say all the time is, do it for yourself. Do it as if like there was a billion of you that was going to see it later. Because that's the only way to be honest. Like you said, trying to appeal to a broad audience and please everyone, it almost never works. Like I can't imagine everybody liking some of the things I write. I can't appeal to a broad audience because not everybody's going to believe in what I'm talking about, you know?
Right. Absolutely. I get that with Sedona too. Oh, another picture of Bell Rock. I'm like, yeah, well, I saw it again today. And it's fine by
Yeah.
me. If you don't
Yeah.
like it, that's okay. I'm just sharing my life, my story.
Yeah. Can you take us maybe to your best or most triumphant creative moment?
There's another one I can't exactly put my finger on. But because I'm always evolving and changing and following my creative heart to do the things that I want to do, not necessarily to achieve success or some misguided notoriety, but to find fulfillment in the work I do. It's because I want to be proud of everything that I do and share. And if I can't accomplish that, then I haven't done a good enough job, which goes back to that same driving force, that fire within me that keeps going. So get back to the best moment. I'd have to say I'm living in it right now. I
Yes.
think that maybe it started when I really began sharing my vision of Sedona through photography. I moved out here in 2004 and I just fell in love. I mean, I actually came out this way when I was 12 years old. I have a brother and a sister, and we used to get to choose family vacations. So I was about 12 years old, and I chose the West. I wanted to come out here, Grand Canyon, Sedona, Tucson. And I was on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, my whole life, leading up to that. And I came out here when I was younger, and I said one day I'm going to move out here. It took a while. But I came out here. So maybe it was when I started sharing my photography here. Maybe it was when I shared Sedona Photo Fest last year, or maybe it was when I did an outreach with the Red Rock High School for fashion photography that they've never done over here at the high school. So I don't think that I can really say that I have a singular moment to focus on, but it is the moment that I'm in right now. I mean, I really do live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. I share art, creativity. I love doing what I do. I'm the marketing director at Sedona Art Center now for 5 years. I'm a faculty member, so I teach, I do events there, and I love it. I love everything I do. Besides my photography and sharing science quotes, trying to get science into people's lives.
Yeah.
I'm living in that moment right now.
That's great. And, that all, I'm so happy, by the way, for you. But that's all just that idea of just pushing forward and just kind of keep your eyes open for different opportunities and keep sharing.
Absolutely.
I kind of know where you're going to go with this, but who's your greatest inspiration?
Well, we're going to start with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
Okay. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's number one. We got Bill Nye, Carl Sagan, all of our wonderful scientists, Brian Greene, Professor Brian Cox, amazing.
Yeah.
Science, it shows us the world around us as it is. And there's nothing more important than knowledge and understanding the world around us. I think there's absolutely no better thing than understanding our world. That's more beautiful than mystery, in my opinion. And I think in most of the scientists that I admire, their opinion as well. So again, Neil deGrasse Tyson, definitely number one on my list as far as an inspiration for me.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because as we were talking about before the show, just a real big science nerd these days, and I really feel like those guys, especially that you mentioned, are artists as well. Like they're putting out some awesome material for the layperson, really, like for people that aren't really into it. Like, did you watch the Cosmos?
Oh,
The
absolutely,
new,
yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but both versions of it are good. Sagan's and Neil deGrasse Tyson's version of it. Well, he hosted it, but
right. Well, they're doing great things, and yeah, there's definitely creativity behind all of it because you can't go through life. I've said this so many times. You cannot go through life without art or creativity being a part of it. Every single thing that you can see, just open your eyes and look around you. Every chair, every pillow, every you know bench, bookcase, everything was created with some sort of creativity, some sort of art in mind. We live and we are creative people. So even our science is all the same way. We have science fiction is great for our science movements and for our creativity and our inspiration. Because it takes us places that we didn't think that we could go or we just imagined. And now we're actually beginning to go places because of our imagination.
Yeah, and the mysteries just keep coming. It's like we we figure one thing out, and then that just opens up 10 more questions. And I
Gravitational
love that.
waves being discovered. A
Dude,
hundred
that's
years
so
later,
cool.
finally being, I mean, we're finding evidence for things that we just imagined.
Right.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk for days about
Me
this, but
too.
we are running out of time, unfortunately. Before we get into the final push, did you have like a favorite book or YouTube clip or anything else that you draw inspiration from?
It's really hard. I mean, the inspiration that I have comes from all around me. So right now, I'm surrounding myself with artists at the Sedona Arts Center. There's like Sedona Film Festival just moved through town. Sedona itself is such a great inspiration. It's hard. It's really hard to say. I don't know that I have one favorite book at this point right now or other inspiration other than nature, because that is where I'm drawing all of my inspiration from right now. Nature and my family.
Yeah, a great 1-2 combo, a
Yeah.
great 1-2 punch. And that's the thing is like it's so easy for people if they just kind of open their eyes and go outside and start as we were kind of talking about before, kind of start looking at things with like a new set of eyes. That the inspiration is just already there.
Right.
It's just already there, like ripe for the plucking.
Hmm.
Sorry, ripe for the plucking. And it's just a matter of kind of just like taking the time, going out there, and kind of seeing it differently.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about viewing the world in a different way and living in the moment. It's so important to just live in the moment. We can't live in the past. We can't look at our failures, our mistakes, and all of that and just, dwell on all of that. And we can't look to the future and just hope and want too much. We just be happy in the present. And I think that that's one of the most important things, and share. Just
Hmm.
share away. People are so afraid to share. Now, some people do share too much,
Yeah.
too often, but it's finding that good balance and sharing really good creativity, I think.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, like you said, not looking to the past too much and not looking to the future too much. It's kind of just looking at the present and not kind of putting the blinders on to what your daily life is kind of like if you come home and just, sit and watch TV or get drunk or whatever the thing may be that's like kind of holding you back from doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, that your brain's telling you you're supposed to be doing. It's kind of just like opening your eyes to what your present situation is and what it could be.
Right, absolutely. I think it's just really all a matter of, changing your mindset. I mean, after a while, you're going to get bored. And I think boredom is one of the greatest drivers of creativity. That we're bored, we want to do something better, we want to do something new, but we have to embrace it.
Absolutely. All right, it is time for our final push. And this is where I ask you to reach through the microphone, grab the shoulder of one of the listeners that you have inspired today that's thinking, maybe I could do this too, and give them that push into action.
Everybody go out and take a photo of your landscape where you live in a way that you never would have and post it on my page. I think just go out and do something you haven't done before. If you're a painter, try something, try sculpting. If you are a photographer, try painting, try drawing, try sketching. Take an easy course. Look up something on YouTube. There's plenty of drawing courses right there that you could find. There's plenty of different things that you could find that are inspirational. Do a science project in your home. There's so many amazing science projects that you can do. But try to change your mindset. Try to change your daily routines and all the different things you do, and try new things. And that's one of the most important things. Second is get out into nature and listen to nothing but the birds chirping and the wind blowing through the trees. That is the greatest thing for you to find inspiration to do something new.
I love it. Kelly, thank you so much for coming on the show today and for giving us that push.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And you can find Kelly on his website, KelliKlymenko.com. That's KelliKlymenko.com. On Facebook, he is artist Kelli Klymenko. And on Instagram and Twitter, he is Kelli Klymenko. And you can also find all these resources that we talked about today and all the links to find him at yourcreativepush.com/Kelly, Kelli. Kelly, thank you again, brother.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Oh man, such a great conversation. I feel really fortunate to have connected with Kelly. He's such a cool guy, and we had it's funny, we had such a long pre-interview chat. I feel really bad about it now, but we just kind of talked about the universe, life, our existence, nature. I could have made it into, its whole episode by itself, but I really loved our conversation about creativity during the episode as well. And I'm sure that you can tell he's a guy who, totally gets it. I'm really happy for him. The fact that he's smack dab in the middle of his best creative moment, as he said. And you can just tell that he is. Definitely follow him on Facebook and Instagram if you, need a daily dose of nature, or if you love to look at the stars like I do, but don't have access to the kinds of views that he does. And again, all those resources will be at yourcreativepush.com/Kelly, Kelli. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I like to put up my favorite quotes from each episode for daily inspiration. So in case you missed the episode, which, of course I hope you don't, or if you just need a quick, pick me up throughout your day to remind you to do your creative work or to help you if you aren't feeling quite motivated. Anyway, Kelly, being the super nice guy that he is, was kind enough to take the reins for this episode. I sent him my favorite quotes from this very episode that he said, and he put them onto some of his photos, and God, I love them. They should be posters hanging on my wall. So definitely go and check them out as well. It's a great way to get acquainted with his work, as well as get inspired by the quotes on top of them. I always get nervous to ask artists to be able to use their work and plop the quotes on top of it, because I feel like it's kind of like adding graffiti to their work, but they work so well with the things that he said. You definitely just need to check it out. That's Instagram.com/yourcreativepush. And while you're there, follow Kelly, Instagram.com/Kelli Klymenko, KELLIKLYMENKO. And if it's easier, he'll be tagged in all the quote photos to make it easy for you to find him. On tomorrow's show, we have JT Ellison.
2 words that you need to remember: reckless abandon. You have to sit down and approach the page with reckless abandon. You have to shut off everybody else, turn off all the other voices, and just create. Take the editor out, take the critic out, take your English teacher from, that told you wrote like a 4-year-old. Take out that person who said you were never going to be good enough to get published. Take them out of your head, sit them in a nice glass jar and put a little top on it so they can't get out, and then just create.
JT is an amazing author and a really cool person, and we talk about how she stays motivated, and we also talk about how she received some negative feedback when she was in school, and how it kept her from becoming a writer until many years later. But definitely a really cool story about how she was able to pivot back to writing, and a really cool moment when she finally felt at home, when she realized that, yes, I am a writer, and yes, this is what I should be doing and I should have been doing. But that is for you tomorrow. Hopefully today you were inspired to do your work. I really hope that you were, and I really hope that you get to it right now. That's the entire purpose of this podcast, is for you to go and do your work. Not to listen to podcasts all day, but to go and get your work done. So do it, please. Make me happy. And we will be here again, of course, for you tomorrow if you need the push again. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. Get your work done, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.